What's going on? My name is David Page. I'm a professional guitarist and singer, and my wife and I just finished our contract on board the Carnival Elation. While on board, we were contracted as the musical duo, but I got to have this unique experience to be the guitarist to open up the production show, Epic Rock. Stephanie and I were contracted to be the onboard mainstream duo on the Carnival Elation, and we had anywhere between 3 and 5 sets every night. Additionally, on this contract, about halfway through, the solo guitarist that was performing on the ship, his contract ended and he was leaving the ship. He was the guitarist that used to open Epic Rock when Stephanie and I got on board. When I realized that Mark's contract was coming to an end in a few weeks, I decided to take it upon myself to ask the music manager and the cast manager who was going to be taking that spot when he was done. Because I really wanted it and I showed the initiative, I was the one to get the spot. This was an incredible opportunity for me. I got to perform solo on stage by myself, shredding guitar for 15 minutes, and it was awesome. But it was also really intimidating to me. I've never really seen myself as a lead guitar player before this contract. I've always been more of a rhythm player and really focused a lot more on singing than guitar playing. So this was a great growth opportunity for me and an opportunity for me to try something totally different and kind of step outside my comfort zone. Epic Rock would almost always happen on the final night of the cruise, and there were 2 shows of Epic Rock, and then once those shows were over, there were 2 more sets for Stephanie and I to perform in the Atrium. On the Elation, all of the production shows would happen in the Mikado Theater, and doors would open about 30 minutes before the performance time. During the first 15 minutes or so, there was house music that was playing, and it was Guns N' Roses, Deep Purple, Scorpions. While this is going on, the cast is backstage warming up, the crew is getting into position, and I was waiting in the wings for my cue. That moment in Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love when all of the instruments drop down and it leaves just the hi-hat. Mark, the sound tech, would speak my cue into a talkback mic that I would hear in my in-ear monitors. David, let's go. I would take a deep breath and take my first step out onto the stage and into the spotlight. There were a lot of riffs to play and a lot of time to manage. After getting this performance under my belt a few times, I started to map out different riffs and different moves that I would associate with the different positions around the stage. There were 5 positions. Center stage, the front platform stage right, front platform stage left, down on the floor on stage left in front of the stage. And then position 5 was back up onto the stage, pretty far to stage left. When I would get to position 1, center stage, I would usually put my guitar on and gesture with my hand for the audience to make some noise. The first riff that I played there when I picked up my guitar was Whole Lotta Love, so that I would keep the same song that everyone was just listening to going. After a few minutes of playing, riff after riff, anything that I could think of, Mark would say in my ear, "Next position," and I would go to position number 2. When I would get to position number 2, I would usually throw a guitar pick either to a child nearby or to the most enthusiastic audience member as I approached that position. And then I would start playing Crazy Train. After a few minutes, I would move over to the left side of that platform where I would start with Metallica's Master of Puppets. After a few more minutes of riffs, eventually Mark would let me know it's time to move to the next position, and I would jump down from position 3 to position 4 down in front of the stage. I would dedicate this position to songs from Women Who Rock. Joan Jett, Blondie, Pat Benatar, No Doubt, you name it, I was playing it. The cue for position 5 was a little bit different. Mark would say, "Tracking." When he said this, it was time for me to make my way along the floor in front of the stage all the way to the stage left stairs. I would then turn around and come up the stairs. The purpose of this kind of awkward movement was so that the audience would follow me with their eyes, so that the stage manager, Danzel, could quickly move across the stage and grab the guitar stand from position 1. And as I went up the stairs, I would start playing the beginning of Thunderstruck, but I wouldn't start playing the riff right away. I used this time to build anticipation, and I would use my left hand to signal to the audience to make some noise. There was one time where this hilariously did not work out as planned, and as I was building the anticipation and trying to get the audience to make some noise, and this whole side of the audience stood up. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was hilarious, so I kept doing what I was doing and just finished out the rest of the performance. In position 5, Mark would then give a 1-minute countdown, a 30-second countdown, and when he said 20 seconds, I had to turn the volume knob all the way down so that Mark could make the adjustment on his end and change the guitar patch to a clean channel. And at 15 seconds, I would turn my volume back up and start playing the intro to Stairway to Heaven. I would let that last chord ring out, and as all the lights faded, I would turn and duck back into the wings, and the spotlight would come onto Ella as she started to sing the first verse of Stairway to Heaven. From this moment, the production of Epic Rock was now in full swing, and I would run backstage to my dressing room where I would remove the vest, which was actually part of the costume, and I would put on my own shirt, go out the back door, down the crew stairs from the 8th deck to the 7th deck, back out into a guest area, go all the way around to the guest stairs, back up the guest stairs from 7 to deck 8, and then into the Mikado Lounge where I would meet up with Stephanie and we would watch the first show of Epic Rock. When the show ended, Stephanie and I would run and grab a quick bite to eat. That would be our dinner date. And then I would have to get backstage in order to get into position and into costume for show number 2. There were always 2 performances of Epic Rock on the last C day of the cruise, and so once I finished the pre-show of the second show, I would go out to the backstage the same way I always did, but this time I would be bringing my guitar with me, and I would go out to the Atrium so Stephanie and I could start getting ready for our performance. Because once that was completed, we would have 2 more sets out in the Atrium.
Good evening, Elation! We are David and Stephanie. We're going to play some music for you here tonight in the Atrium.
We would usually start our first set around the time that the second show of Epic Rock was ending, so that as guests were coming out of the show, we were already performing in the Atrium. I loved the hustle of Epic Rock Night, and I also loved getting to perform on the main stage in the theater, not only to be able to perform and to be a part of Epic Rock with the playlist cast, and those were some of our best friends, but also because it gave the guests a teaser of what they could expect from me and Stephanie out in the Atrium a little bit later. Being a musician on the ship was exciting, and it was fun, and it was stressful all at the same time. We really had to find creative ways to manage our time so that we could get all of our own needs met while still being able to fulfill all of our responsibilities on the ship. This was also such a great opportunity for me to have the sole responsibility for building anticipation for the show, and I learned a lot about myself as a performer, and I feel like I'm much better for it. Thanks for hanging out and checking out a day in the life of a cruise ship musician, and I'll see you in the next video.